Okay, folks, so this is part 2, and we're still on point number 4 of this thread out of 20 something points. So stick around. This is going to be a long marathon of videos.
Oh no.
At this point, if you haven't gotten more drinks, food, or gone to the bathroom, pause and do so. And come back, like, subscribe, hit the bell.
I would love to
you want to do, share it around.
I would love to get another glass of wine, but I don't want to get drunk tonight. So
also, we're doing this initially before editing and posting in one shot.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. So if you don't know who these people are, you can always watch the first video. We introduce ourselves and our experiences with Mecha. So let's move on for the sake of time. So point number 5. To make a flexible frame required for a mech, there would be way too many bending parts. Even a relatively weak weapon would be able to render a mech useless just by shooting it near the limbs.
I think almost every mecha ever has covered that cheap excuse.
Yeah, like most mecha are actually designed to be more rigid. Like the only parts that would be qualified as bending would be the joints, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of mecha address that too.
A lot of mecha address it because the majority of them are totally mechanical, military-built weaponry. They would probably notice the obvious targets.
Right.
Because again, humanoid form makes finding that sometimes easier on mechanical things because less fleshy bits hiding them.
What were you going to say, Comment?
Now, repeat the point one more time. So, she's complaining that the mecha is flexible?
Because of the flexible frame, to make it as flexible as the mecha is.
But usually they hand wave that by using fictional metals.
Yeah,
fictional metals are a lot of hydraulic presses, gears, servos, all that stuff. If you want an example of how it would kind of look,
simply just don't make them too big.
Well, the whole point is making like in real life, like the materials needed are they're not strong enough. Obviously, the robot would most likely collapse under its own weight because of gravity in real life.
The fact that there are mechs like that exist. They're not as tall as most Gundams, but they exist. They are literally that flexible. There's been video of them on YouTube, and some have even been built in the States. So excuse invalid.
Go ahead, Ninja.
I was just to say to call in Xenonic.
Oh.
I got no point to say on this one. Basically, you guys can say this one better than I could.
Sorry about that, but yeah.
Other than remember, we read fiction to experience life in the mundane grandiose. And what is grandiose? A giant robot.
Giant robots that blow up other giant robots or fight in long in the future or space wars. Or on Earth is a giant ring for a contest of who rules humanity. That one's fun too.
That said, they're also making a real life mech. Sure, it's not perfect. It's still really slow, but it's gonna be updated as the years go on. And who knows?
The Japanese one, I think, goes almost like 40 to 50 miles an hour on average.
Yeah, it still has that support stuff, because it's made as a amusement park, but we don't know when in the future it will be able to move around by itself without any support structure.
No, I'm talking about someone's actually done that on video with a personal built mech. The thing doesn't have feet, it just runs on wheels.
What were you going to say, Comment?
Well, look at Korea's Method 1. Oh,
that's right, Korea. Always give it up to the Asians to develop technology.
Again, why I referenced the Japanese guy who literally started a company after being an engineer and just wanting to build mecha.
And here's another thing. You say, I feel like the point is, obviously, we don't have the materials sturdy enough at the moment. What's to say that we're not going to, discover or come up with new material that can support a mecha in the future?
That's easily done.
So for my final point about this is that not all mecha are very flexible. Blue Gender is actually the one I could think of where the mechs are not. Yes, but the mechs themselves are not super robot stuff. They have wheels. They only have limited mobility on that, and they have weaknesses. So it just depends on the mecha itself.
That's
Also,
even the beginning of
here-
other
no,
shows.
no,
like
no, no.
Really
But
Good
here's-
Racing.
Wait, guys. What were you gonna say, Comment?
Here's a classic, Votoms. I mean,
yes,
you showed the video.
photons.
Yeah, you showed the video I showed you. Those things are not super at all. You
No.
know, the fuel was highly flammable. If you get a leak, you're done. I mean, literally, the fuel can literally ignite by room temperature.
I'll say this,
Damn,
Cheng.
room temperature, Jesus.
Yeah, Chengus, in post, if you can get the link from Black, put it in the description with a timestamp so people, when they see the timestamp or the rough area, can go watch it for themselves if they need to.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh,
have
just type in Votoms on YouTube.
I'll just
you know?
type in
Yeah, that
photons.
too. If
Yeah,
need be, pause, type it in, go watch, come back.
Oh, VO.
I could do it.
I
after
think
I'm
we
done
I think
recording.
we have addressed this point. We can move on.
But one more point I will say this is if you want realistic mech, if you're talking about how mecha is unrealistic, there's literally the fact that mecha, as we know it, is separated into two major genres. There's the real robot genre, and there's the super robot genre. Now, most of us here prefer the super robot genre, which gets into the more quote unquote unrealistic, fantastical elements. But then you got real robots, which actually does most of the time try to make it seem like, yes, this is how a mecha would feel like in a more realistic world. But at the same time, they're still, going a little bit into the fantastical elements of mecha in general.
And on that, I have one final point to make. When it comes to scientific discovery in general, the more you know increases the speed you can discover. It's an upscaling multiplier, as it were. The more you learn about how stuff works, the more you can discover, the more, or the faster it grows. It's like how we went from the 1940s or 50s when TVs were really big. Nowadays, everyone's got a laptop. The smartphones and the iPads or the other things are literally the pad from Star Trek. You literally have a supercomputer you take everywhere with you. Most cars nowadays, the newer ones, have similar built-ins at this point. I can see us having near Gundam level tech in easily 30 years, including possibly the freaking material they're made out of. It would not take that much work to find something that would do the job.
So there we go. So I think we've addressed point 5.
Yeah.
Point number 6, which goes on more into how unrealistic mecha is. Maintaining balance without sacrificing mobility would be nigh impossible. With how large the mech is, any decent impact would completely knock it over. Furthermore, it couldn't even use that strong of weapons for the same reason. The recoil alone would knock one down.
I have something in real life that they've actually started figuring out how to make easy to make freaking anti-gravity, which leads you to inertial dampeners, which can easily negate any sort of recoil or kinetic impact, meaning that point's moot on itself.
Well, that kind of ties into my previous point about how, sure, at the moment, present day, we don't have the technology. What's to say we're not going to have that technology needed in the future?
And I saw those reports 2 years ago, so future's closer than you think.
Yes,
Another
go
point.
ahead, Connor.
Why not add stabilizers like toes, or toes on the front and back of the legs, or simply have it kneel.
Oh, on that, a couple of mech shows, even Code Geass on some of the more insane stuff, and other shows have mechs built-in stabilizers that when they need to break out the heavy artillery, they plant themselves, they activate, and they shoot, and they don't really move. I mean, the mech kind of bunches back and forth, but they don't fall over.
Yeah, again, a lot of the points here can be addressed in the previous point. Is that it depends on the mech genre and how the in-universe works and the mechanics. That all goes into designs. And yeah, some mecha puts all these elements into account. Others don't. Others usually explain them away with a new rare element or a new power source that has weird properties to it. Essentially, a lot of the stuff that she brought up is if you like Black Panther, that level of technology is the same level of technology that can be applied to Mecha.
Oh, on that, half the stabilization stuff, basic engineering courses talk about that stuff when doing buildings. It's like this is old knowledge or something that goes back to when they were building castles.
Nick, you got any points?
Man, I think you guys basically said all I said, because basically all I'm thinking about right now is how I think Selena and Gotham High basically took place as number,
Stop.
as number one of my most hated characters.
Oh my god, we could look, guys. We could, if we want, like some other time, we could go about Gotham fucking High. I swear.
She's officially number one on the most hated characters.
Here, next point. Xenonic has the opening floor just for the heck of it, so he can talk.
All right. Point number 7. Which
All right.
honestly, well, actually, I will say honestly, reading this, it's pretty much the same fucking point as before.
Fuck, it's the same point. Skip it. Next.
No, and
Just read it. Oh, okay, whatever.
okay. Well, it's the same point. Point number 8. A humanoid frame would be very thin compared to any other armored machine. We addressed this.
And they're not.
Don't many characters in anime actually die by getting shot in the cockpit?
Yes. That's actually been a plot point in many in anime.
Like, what was the Gundam that Michael Curtis was talking about? Like
Victory Gundam.
Yeah, Victory Gundam, where literally a Gundam goes up to the cockpit of a mobile suit and turns on the sword and burns the fucking guy in the cockpit.
Yeah, it's a very do we have? I have to bring this up. Blue Gender, episode 2. Characters die.
Stop! No,
character dies unceremoniously.
Oh my
yes, we're gonna do a Blue Gender talk at some point, but I'm just bringing them up as examples of that happens. Back to previous points. Some mechas actually put this into account and makes them more interesting. All right,
yes. What are you gonna say? Comment.
In Gundam 0080, Bernie got turned into a hamburger.
Yeah. And in Code Geass, all Nightmare mecha frames have built-in cockpit ejections where the whole thing basically ejects like in current day jets, where the whole thing just pops out and goes away.
All right. Now, point number 9. Oh my god. Your mythical metal that somehow is light enough and durable enough to make a decent mech doesn't exist. No element on the periodic table or mix thereof is making that possible. Get over it. Oh, get over it. Oh, get over it. Is that so?
Dumb.
Yes. Again, the previous points, like you got people on YouTube. You can really rewind it to when we were talking about point number 5.
Oh my
god. Point number 5 or 4 of 5 or 6, and watch that again, and you get that exact same opinion. Again,
and on the periodic table,
fantasy.
And on the periodic table, since its establishment, we have been adding to the dang thing.
I was actually
who's it saying we won't make a new one? New editions. It can happen.
I was actually about to say that. Yeah. As the years go on, we are going to add more and more elements to the periodic table.
Which again goes back to my point. At the moment, we don't have the materials. What's to say we're not going to have it in the future?
And like I said earlier, that often depends on what we already know. We know more than we realize in some cases, and I wouldn't be surprised if that metal is already being thought out in some think tank somewhere in the U.S. or abroad. Who knows?
I need to say this.
Yes.
Most, if not all, mecha shows take place in the future. Where we could have the technology to actually do this. And if your counterpoint is Megas XLR takes place in the present, Megas itself actually comes from the future due to time travel shenanigans.
Yeah.
It's a time travel show.
There for another mecha that you might use to debunk us. Nice try.
And like Transformers, aliens.
Aliens.
They're
Aliens.
literal aliens.
They're
Yeah.
little sentient mechs. With
Like we don't know what the fuck
like things.
we don't know what the fuck the metal on Cybertron is made of because
okay, no one's ever gotten a good look at the shit.
Somehow we were able to find out in Transformers 4.
oh we don't fucking talk about Transformers 4
We don't
man.
talk about that shit.
All right, number 10.
Number 10, point number
Let's
10.
have comments begin.
All right, so Comet, you get the first point. So, the presence of robots in a work of fiction normalizes them in human society. With how AI is rapidly getting better and better at harvesting our data, we should be doing whatever we can to actively discourage and destroy robots. So you're making the Terminator argument.
Black.
Comment.
That's kind of dumb. I don't see the point of that argument, though.
This woman is literally making the Terminator argument. We shouldn't have mechs because we could be building Skynet.
But-
I'm legitimately. I like to add that this person is the speaker of the trees. Is obsessed with destroying technology and yet has a Twitter account.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
cheating.
Honest, like a part of me wishes this was a troll, but a troll doesn't put in the effort to put in 20-something posts to write an essay on Twitter about
Not unless
why
they have
mech-
to go in a board.
Yeah, like I get it that COVID-19 is making people crazy and becoming more and more like trolls, internet trolls, but it's quite hard at this point. It's quite hard to tell between whether something is a troll or not.
Yeah, at this point, find everything, rip it to shreds, and see if they're trolls or not. And don't believe them on the first instance. Check their history.
So at the time of recording this, we are now like 56-something minutes in. So we're probably going to do one more point, and then we're going to move on to part 3 of the video.
Oh,
Yep.
joy.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, we're not even like. Oh what? No,
We're almost halfway. Calm down.
Yeah, I
calm
was about
down.
to say. We are halfway. I got the mindset from like the first Twitter thread we once read.
Oh my god.
Don't bring that shit up.
No, do not bring up her. Do not bring up her.
I think
mean him.
Move on. Don't even talk it anymore. Next
Okay, okay, this is probably our last point before part 3 of the series.
And this is a doozy.
So point 11, and it literally, and I love how this starts off. Holy shit, robot mecha designs are the least creative things in existence. Dude, we'll just put some metal parts on random places, call it a day. Look, polygons and circles. Designs of living creatures stand out much more and also show the true power of a good character designer.
Okay.
Ava.
No, I know.
Calm down. Guys.
Can I say something?
Nick, go first.
Ava.
Yeah.
Ava.
I got okay. Here's my joke. So clearly, this person's hold on.
I actually have to head up for a second, really quick. I have to get something.
Okay.
Well,
All
wait
right.
for you,
I'm
Nick.
back. Clear this person's the one mecha show this person is talking about is Gundam Seed.
Yep.
Are you talking about like how Micah Curtis described it? Let's take a Gundam and just slap a jet on its back.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not that simple, but
Yeah. You guys keep talking. I gotta go do something real quick.
to be fair,
Alright.
Gundam Seed has some interesting mech designs.
Hmm.
It's just that they went overboard with certain backpacks.
Well, here's what I think. You know what? The way she's describing Mecha, you know what I goes to think of? I think of the Michael Bay designs from Transformers.
Yes.
Because that's a pretty good description of their designs. Well, we'll just take, a metal frame, put some, car parts on it, and then there you go. It's a Transformer.
Yeah, and also a good character design does not actually come from the random bits that's on the character. Usually, one good aspect of character design, as I am told, is the silhouette. If you can recognize the character by their silhouette in the form of posture or just the outline, if people can instantly recognize them at a first glance, then you have a good character design foundation.
Comment. Well, actually, no. Servant's doing something, but he'll be back.
Yeah.
So I think we've addressed point 11. So you want to move on to point 12?
I think we need to stop the end. This is the end of part 2. Remember?
Oh yes, that's right. So this is probably going to be part 2. I think maybe part 2 will be just a tad bit shorter than part 1, but still, nonetheless, this is part 2 of this series of going through this Twitter thread. We are now about halfway through, so it's not going to be that long. So stick around, people. So remember, excuse me, but if you want more content like this, make sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell, share the video, do all that jazz. Right, guys?
Yes.
Right.